All right. Bear with me for a second here. Close out of that chat. Share this new link on the Facebook real quick. I don't know why this keeps happening, man. My internet is not bad. Like I have very good internet, but it said my connection was unstable. So annoying. All right, let's go here. Excuse me. All right. All right. Can you let me know in the chat if we're good now? We're back. All right. We lost some viewers, but that's okay. Okay. Let's get the audio going back again. All right. I apologize. I apologize for that. I just don't know, man. Government cannot silence me. I will be heard. Anyways, so I was talking about Roman Reigns, and I believe someone in the chat said, "Do you think this match will be anywhere near as good as Reigns versus McIntyre from Survivor Series?" No, but not to say that this won't be a good match. I think that match was just like really, really good, and it was supposed to be like kind of like WrestleMania main event worthy. Like that was how they wanted. That's how they built it up. That's what they wanted it to be. They kind of wanted it to be hard to top, so to speak. Um, but that being said, I still think this is going to be a really good match. I think it's going to be really physical, probably the most physical match of the night. We may even see some blood, which is when WWE is really trying to hammer it home. Like, man, this is a hard hitting physical interaction. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I think Roman Reigns is on a roll right now, just with everything he's been doing ever since he came back at SummerSlam. He's been absolutely my favorite thing about the WWE, which is just hilarious because heel Roman Reigns is what people have been asking for literally like 5 years, and then WWE just refused, and then they finally turned him heel, and he's literally the most over, like, and like most captivating character, and is doing absolutely the best work of his career right now. It's awesome. It's so fun to watch. Um, but anyway, so at the end of the day, yeah, I think it's going to be a really physical fight, but I think at the end it's going to be similar to the Reigns McIntyre fight where Owens is hanging in there and Jey Uso comes in to interfere to once again try to prove his worthiness. To Reigns and to prove that he belongs. He deserves to have a seat at the table with the family. So give his cousin a little bit of assistance. But yeah, at the end of the day, I have Reigns retaining the title in a not so clean fashion. Um, yeah, Reigns I see holding his title definitely uh, until WrestleMania as well. I'm really hoping we get Big E wins the Royal Rumble and then he beats Roman Reigns for the title at WrestleMania. That would be so mwah. Um, but we'll see. I wouldn't mind if Reigns won and just held it for like 3 years. But um, yeah, so that's that match. And then we have Sasha Banks versus Carmella. I almost just said Carmella Anthony, which is hilarious. Basketball is on my mind. Sasha Banks versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship in just a normal singles match. Um, I think this is going to be a good match. I think it should be competitive. And I think it kind of has to be in order to establish Carmella as a credible main event worthy talent. Um, Especially with all this buildup, we had at least a month, if not like two, of just consistent, you know, buildup of all these vignettes of the mystery woman. When it was finally revealed, I think after Hell in a Cell, that it was Carmella. Um, and she immediately was in line for a title match, and they got a title match last week on SmackDown. I don't remember how it ended. I mean, I know obviously Banks retained the title, but I can't remember if it like had a clean finish or if there's some sort of DQ or something. But I see Sasha Banks retaining here just because again, she's another person who just recently won her title. And she's at the top of her game right now. And I think they want to hold on to her being a champion for a little while too, at least through the Rumble. Um, because up until um when was it? Whatever time that so I think she won the title at Hell in a Cell and then she defended it maybe at another pay-per-view or on a Raw or something, and she finally actually defended it because before that, she was 0 and 4 in title defenses, I think, maybe 0 and 3. But that was just the pattern with Sasha Banks is she would win the title and then the very next time she defended it, she would lose it. So she never had a title reign more than like a couple weeks or a month at a time. And so I think this is finally the reign and the time where she holds on to it for a little while and establishes herself as a credible champion who can win the belt but then hold on to it. So I have her going over here. Again, I think it should. I think it'll be a good match, and I think it has to be, or else it'll be a little upsetting and confusing that Carmelo is just like, slingshotted skyrocketed, cannonballed into the main event scene, and then not really proving that she belongs there, which I think she does. And I think the writers do too, as was mentioned earlier with that tweet. But yeah, so I think this will be a good match, but I think Sasha's going to retain. And then finally, the last match on the card that has been confirmed is the New Day versus the Hurt Business for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Um, And so, just some context for this one: the New Day have been champions for a while now. They were the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and then they were drafted to Raw, so they just swapped titles with the Street Profits. So they've been Raw Tag Team Champions since October, but they were SmackDown Champions for a little while before that too. Um, and I mean, they've basically been in the Tag Team Championship hunt or scene for years. Um, But since they came over to Raw, they've had no real contenders other than the Hurt Business. Um, and for a while, the Hurt Business was consistently losing to the New Day on Raw and on pay per view. They just kept losing. And so it was a little bit confusing too, because it was like, all right, you have the Hurt Business who is getting pushed pretty heavily. for a good reason, and people were behind them. They were getting good heat. They were beating a lot of people, and then they started kind of interacting with the New Day, and then they kept losing. And it was like, oh my god, they're losing their credibility already, and they're just being buried. But then this past week on Raw, they finally beat them in a non-title match. So looks like they're trying to give them a little momentum and say, hey, maybe they're kind of starting to figure the New Day out, figure out some of their weaknesses, especially since they don't have Big E now and he's still on SmackDown. So at the end of the day, I think if the Hurt Business lose here, they have to move on from this feud, um, because we've literally had New Day versus Hurt Business since like pretty much after SummerSlam, I think. Um, and it's just gone on and on and on. And there needs to be a new feud. But that being said, if the Hurt Business lose, the New Day have like literally no more credible teams to face after them. Like I'm trying to think right now, who are the other tag teams on Raw? Um, there's Retribution. Um, I literally can't think of a single other tag team on Raw because the Viking Raiders are out. Usos are on SmackDown. Sheamus and Cesaro aren't a tag team anymore. I mean, they haven't been for a while. Um, I guess you could maybe move on to Miz and Morrison, but they feuded with them like a year ago. So there's just no one for them to move on to. So that being said, I think that the Hurt Business should win here, and that's my prediction: is that they finally best the New Day to add to their collection of championship gold. Because remember, Bobby Lashley is the United States champion, and so then when you put the tag belts on Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, you kind of really establish them as a good heel faction that has all gold. Um, and just can keep running roughshod of the Raw roster. So I'm all for Her Business winning. And again, the New Day at this point are just at a point in their career where they can eat the losses and it won't affect them anymore. So they can very much afford to drop the titles to the Hurt Business, and especially to a team like the Hurt Business, who I think at this point they're in a position where they need the belts now to move on and to keep their credibility. So I think that's the best move here. Um, so that's the only uh, championship. Well, I guess I have that and the women's tag team titles changing hands, but that one's kind of a little iffy. But yeah, this is the only real championship I have changing hands. But so there's two more matches that have not been confirmed, but they're potentials to be matches. And it's two more championship matches, which is fresh. There will definitely be non-championship matches that are on the pre-show, which I won't be able to predict because they're not going to announce them until like Sunday at 3 p.m. probably. Um, but so the first one is Street Profits versus Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Um, and again, this is not confirmed, but it'll probably be set up on Friday night. Um, not a whole lot to say here. I think the Street Profits will retain. They've held the titles for a while, just like New Day have, and they're riding a big wave of momentum. And I think, again, just the tag team division in the WWE in general is kind of in shambles. And I don't see the Street Profits dropping it to a team like Ziggler and Rude, especially since they're kind of newly reformed as a team. Um, and this feud like just randomly began too, so I don't see them dropping the titles out of the blue, to them. And then the other potential match is Sami Zayn versus Big E for the Intercontinental Championship. And again, this is another one where I honestly don't even think we're gonna get this match. I mean, we got it for it was a non-title match, I think, last week, and Sami Zayn was able to win by basically coaxing Biggie out of the ring, crawling under the ring, and then basically getting Biggie stuck under the ring, and then he crawled back in right before the count of 10 to get a count out victory. So if this match happens, that's definitely going to how a very similar fashion is going to end. as well, because there's no way they're gonna have Sami Zayn just get a clean as a whistle victory over Big E when he's in the middle of his singles push, and like we said, most likely on his way to a Royal Rumble victory and main event match at WrestleMania. Um, so I don't see that's why I just don't see this match happening at all, because it's like it's kind of lose lose, because it's either you have Sami Zayn win, which I guess you could have him win in a non clean way just to have another match on. But then Big E would have to quickly move on to something else. But if Big E wins, then he's the Intercontinental Champion, and then he's going to have to end up dropping it fairly soon, because it never really works to have a champion win the Rumble. Um, so yeah, either way, I mean, A, I don't see this match happening, but B, if it does happen, Sami Zayn's going to win regardless. So yeah, so those are all the matches. I think it's going to be a pretty decent pay per view. I mean, again, it's TLC, so it's going to be one of the more physical ones. I am surprised though, because in past TLC pay-per-views, they've had obviously TLC matches, but then they'll usually have separate tables matches, ladders matches, and chairs matches. So we don't see any of those. We only have 2 TLC matches, and the rest are just singles matches, which is a little odd to me. Um, I would have expected like maybe the New Day match to be a ladder match, and you know, maybe put like the Sasha Banks Carmella match as a chairs match or something. And I really think they would have done the Nia Jax Shayna Baszler match as a tables match so that they can call back to that time where 9 weeks in a row Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax put Lana through the announce table. So it's like, hey, let's make this a tables match so they can do it again. And oh wait, no, Lana put them through a table. Oh yeah.